Show. Anyway, now I'm going to welcome my very sexy and very loud co-host, Siti Pepper.
I'm wearing pants underneath, just in case it drops. Anyway, welcome everybody. Thank you for coming. Yeah, there you go. Yum. Woo! Anyway, here today, I'm sure everybody aware. Pepper, what you are here for?
Do you know what you're here for?
No.
Shall I read it for you?
Yes.
Can you imagine a Malaysia where people love differently, dress differently, identify differently, are respected for their contributions to our diversity? Can you imagine that?
Yes.
Can you imagine a Malaysia without hate?
We don't have to imagine, we can make it real. We can make it happen. We just have to have love in our heart. That is most important. Okay? So without wasting any more time, because we have such a short time given, so we are going to welcome the parents and children who have been very brave to come forward and tell us their experiences in raising their children, how things that we go through. So welcome to Elaine and her mom, Kathy. Just in case you get confused, which one is the mom and which one is That's Elaine. That's Kathy. So we are going to welcome the other set of mom and daughter. Welcome. And Michelle.
There's Nicole and his mom, Rani. Let's end in the middle so that we don't.
Yeah, I sent it, darling. Okay. That's Nicole.
This is Rani. Okay, so if you've never been to our show before, actually there's another parent and child, but they're a bit late. They're stuck in the Sunday traffic in KL, as you know. So somebody came up with this idea of why don't we interview parents of different orientations and how did they cope with it and how did their children cope with it, and that's what the Siti Pepper Show is all about. Are you guys cool with this?
Yes.
Okay. Shall we start with?
Well, we can start with any.
Nicole and Rani.
Just the question, then let the parents or the children answer first.
I think I start with Nicole and Rani.
Yeah.
Okay. So, okay, I've always been fascinated about how children find out their own orientation. And Nicole, what is your orientation actually? Would you mind telling us?
Right. Hello everyone, Nicole. I'm actually identify myself first to my mom as a homosexual, a gay man. But I think I'm going through a transition. I just kind of made out with a girl last week. So
Now that's a shock to the mother now.
I'm thinking like, no.
transition route to being a pansexual, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Since when you actually start to acknowledge that you are feeling differently from others, or I'm not sure whether I've used the right terminologies, which our educators and will correct me afterward. So tell us from small how you grew up, and how do you, what kind of reaction you get from society.
Alright. I actually grew up from. I grew up in a very orthodox, very cultured, we are very full of traditions and so on. I have to thank my mom because she never defined me once, any time in my life. She never said that this is who you are, this is what you need to do. So I had Barbie dolls, I had dolls, I had books and all of this. And I went to school, you know, a few of my friends caught hold of the Playboy magazine, and
Ooh, a bit too much information.
yes, and at that point, I realized that I'm not getting these feelings that these other boys are getting, you know, and I knew that I don't feel the same towards what they're seeing. I'm not getting this arousement and so on. And yes, so that was the point where I realized.
What age was that, Nicole?
I think it was around 11.
11.
Yes, 11. That I was really sure about it. But I became absolutely sure about it was when I was 13, when I had my first.
13 years old?
Yes,
Oh.
when I had my first sexual encounter. Yeah.
Shall I just have a break because Elvira and her dad is here.
Nice to meet you again. Nice to have. Everybody thinks that they know how to be the perfect mother, you know, with their first child, with their own children. So what was your method? Was there a secret to how you're going to raise your children before they were born? Did you have close?
He came to me at a later part of his life, maybe around 15, 16, and then started a conversation with me. And it just started plain, normal. It was not a very difficult one. And I was not shocked or anything, and I just felt it fine. It's just like another day he's coming up with a problem and he's telling me what he's going through, maybe with the school or with friends. And when he told me, Ma, this is what I'm going through, I think I'm okay. I said, I think I just gave him a hug and I said, it's fine, because it's just another part of your life and you just need to go on.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Do you think that you might be mistaken at a young age?
No, because I always find him, I do not know how to exactly put it. I can't say is that a brilliant or what, but he was always good enough of taking care of things by himself. So he knows what he's doing and what he's talking and how is he going about it, even at a young age. I think he grew up very independently from a very young age. But again there, when he came up to me with this problem, I think he knew what was it and he knew what was he's going through. And I just feel it's just normal. I mean, it's fine if he wants to have many friends and not girlfriends. And
Can I just ask you a question? Did you actually raise Nicole, wearing dresses or giving him toys, Barbie dolls, and all that, or that makes him a little bit more feminine? Did you actually do that when he was a kid?
no,
No.
I just find him, it was just absolutely normal. But I mean, toys and books and, I mean, not clothes, he doesn't wear clothes, but But he always likes to, maybe when he was small, he likes to take he uses my makeup on his face. But there was one point when he came up to me and he asked me that he wanted to go for this classical dance,
Right.
Parental. And at that time, I said no to him. But now, at this moment, at that time it was because, like, everyone around me in my family was saying it's more of a girls kind of a stuff. But then there were a lot of guys who were also involved in it. But at that time, I think because at that moment I was still with my husband, so I think I got carried away with whatever he was saying because he was on the negative part of it. But now I'm no more. I'm a single mother now. I'm divorced. But when I think about it now, I regret. I really feel so sorry that I never let him do it what he wanted to do when he was young.
Let's give Rani and Nicole a hand. So we're going to go with Elaine and Kathy. Okay, so I'm going to start off. Kathy, did you have any idea that your daughter was a bit different from other girls?
No.
How did you find out?
Actually, we sort of knew a little bit, but it wasn't
Elaine was a teenager, really. I sort of think that Elaine was a little bit different from her girlfriends that's got boyfriends. As when the way she dresses, really, she was not a girly person, never, even when she was little. She was.
Kathy, do you actually accept that Elaine being a lesbian now?
Oh, absolutely. From the time when, in fact, her dad was the one who said, you know, who realized, said, no, Elaine's not going to have a boyfriend. And I said, oh, then we won't ever have a son-in-law.
Oh.
It's being selfish in that way, you know. And I think, to tell you the truth, her dad was more accepting than I was. Yeah. I was sort of, in reality, that odd. But her dad was... Selfish part, yeah.
Okay, can we hear from Elaine? And since what age you start to feel that you actually, you know, like girls?
Yeah, how did you know?
Yeah. How do you know?
What was it, that thing? What was
when
it?
and how? Yes.
It was always at the back of my mind. And what I knew was that it made me feel ashamed and humiliated. I told the story about the first time I saw two short-haired women wearing comfortable shoes, holding hands, and it freaked me out. And I went home and we're raised Catholics. I'm baptized Catholic, and I prayed. I don't believe in God anymore, but I definitely went home and prayed that night and prayed to God that I wasn't a lesbian, because I think deep down inside I thought something. But of course it wasn't. I had crushes on school friends, and I think that's pretty normal, girls, boys. Of course I wasn't going to bring girlfriends home. Didn't know what that was at the time, but obviously it wasn't until I left home, went to university, met the first girl. So that's when I was about 18. I can tell the story. I remember what happened with my dad. When I was 18, I met a woman from Australia. She was a good 7 years older than me. And we fell in love. And she decided to go back to Australia, and I was depressed. So I came home and I said to my dad, Dad, I think I need to go to university in Australia. And he was like, oh, why is that, Elaine? Any particular reason? And they'd already met the girl. I brought her home for Christmas, dinners, whatever. I've always made a point about bringing my friends or girlfriends home, or we just don't talk about it. Do you know what he said to me then? I think there's a bigger issue here. And you need to talk to your mother about this. That's what he said. I did not talk to my mother, but I got accosted in the breakfast table one morning. I don't know if you remember this. Elaine, you talk to me. My mom. What? Are you a lesbian? Is that girl your girlfriend? Is this her first sexual experience with a woman? Is she converting you? I've had relationships, intimate feelings with my girlfriends, but it doesn't mean you have to be gay. That's what happens. That's my coming out story.
Right. Okay. Michelle, what age you start to feel?
Okay, before I answer the question, let me ask
Michelle, you can speak in Bahasa for my
Yeah,
sake.
okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just nak bagi satu soalan kan. Cuba imagine you pakai kasut yang bukan saiz you. Apa you rasa? Kasut tu lawa tapi you bukan saiz you. Lebih besar ke, lebih kecil ke. Of course dia rasa macam you tak selesa lah kan. But tahan je lah kan. That is basically apa I rasa dari I kecil sampai umur I 14 tahun.
Kecil tu daripada
Kecil tu daripada I 8 tahun macam tu.
8 tahun dia dah tahu.
Ya, 8 tahun tu I dah start rasa. Tapi sebab masa tu 8 tahun kan, I tak. Masa tu I panas baran, macam, yalah macam rasa orang yang pakai kasut yang tak serasi. Kasut cantik tapi tak serasi, bukan saiz.
So from 8 years old you already felt.
Yeah, from 8 years old I already felt, but I start to realize and accept. I mula perasan dan mula menerima masa I umur 14 tahun. Tapi dalam masa yang sama kan, sebab ya time tu baca surat khabar, I baca The Star, Newsweek Star apa semua. Bila cakap je isu berkenaan dengan belajar lembut, itu the term pakai belajar lembut, tak berapa sangat pakai term maknya. Tak pernah yang elok, walaupun. So, masa tu I perasan je, I'm like, okay, so I better fokus dekat I punya study so that orang tak boleh pandang rendah, orang tak boleh question I. Sampai umur I 26 tahun, barulah I start consistently being on hormones, barulah I start pakai women clothing, baru I boleh nak hidup sebagai diri I sendiri. Sebab by that time baru I confident, okay, people can't question me.
Bila yang perasan yang dia berlainan daripada budak lelaki lain.
Ataupun tak perasan.
Susah nak cakap Sebenarnya dari awal memang saya tak nampak langsung. Tak nampak langsung sebab dia tak duduk dengan saya. Dari tingkatan 1 hinggalah ada habis
Dia boarding school.
dia sampai ke universiti. Dia tak pernah tinggal dengan saya walaupun dia cuti, dia cuma balik sekali-sekali dan tak ada masa yang panjang. So saya tengok dia macam biasa. Tapi ada sesekali tengok macam agak luar biasa. So 4 tahun yang lepas dia balik untuk ada majlis kahwin anak saudara lah, anak saudara saya.
Ya.
Kat situ baru saya nampak kenapa perubahan pada diri dia sendirilah.
Ya.
Dan bila saya tanya, dia jawab, saya nak jadi diri saya sendiri. Okeylah, pada mulanya memang saya tak boleh terima lah. There's only one my son. Tapi, I kata bolehlah bagi dia peluang. Saya nak diri dan jiwa dia tenang sebagai seorang manusia. So, seorang ibu tak akan minta apa-apa daripada anak ni kecuali anak dia bahagia. Apa yang boleh saya cakap kat sini, sebagai seorang Muslim yang saya percaya ada Tuhan dan saya percaya anak adalah anugerah dari Tuhan dan saya kena jaga anugerah ni walau apa pun bentuk, rupa dan karakter dia, saya tetap akan jaga dan saya tetap akan sayang dan tak akan buang supaya kalau saya terima dia seadanya.
Now, we hear from Elvira and his wonderful dad. Thank you for coming again. Yes. Just tell us, when you actually noticed that, she actually likes girls and sometimes men,
Well, she was in school and sometimes I say things about guys or the girls or I'm talking about lesbian gays and all. So she defends them. She defends them. So I thought from that time onwards, I knew it was coming. But the thing is, it wasn't a big deal to me. For me, okay, I had, when you get married or whatever it is, you have an idea of how life will come. She'll get married, she'll give me grandchildren and this, that. So once started having that, pop goes the grandchild. I'm okay with that. No, I've always told her, I said, it does not matter whatever it is. To me, is you must be happy. If you are happy, I'm happy. I will accept you, whatever it is. And another thing I like to say is, lesbianism and gay is not a problem. It's never been a problem. It's just that the big crowd makes it, they always like to point finger. So I don't think of it as a problem. I think, hey, it happens, it happens. You accept it, that's all. And continue with life.
Yes.
How did you know?
at a young age, probably kindergarten. I used to hang out with the boys, hang out with the girls, but I'm more fascinated with the girls. As children, you don't really know, you don't put labels, you don't put names, titles to what you feel. You just feel the way you feel because you're a child. You're not taught that, you know, this is right, this is wrong, this is how you should do it, this is how you should react or anything along those lines. I was grateful because I had a father and a mother who just let me be, more so my dad than my mom, but still, who just let me be and be however I wanted to be, whomever I wanted to be. Once in a while my mom would kick in to wear this dress. And I'd be like, oh, okay. So, but other than that, my parents pretty much let me be, for the most part. So I was able to explore things on my own and not have this like, why are you hanging out with this guy or why are you hanging out with this girl? Yeah, my mom being the pastor that she is, you have this very, very strong segregation between the gender, you know, girls don't hang out one another.
Yeah, her mom is master, remember now.
Accepting is a great.
Adakah masa di sekolah dan keluarga, society, neighbors kan, do they actually marah you, maki you, you know, like marah, you know, like making judgment towards you?
I was open in school as a gay man because after talking with my mom about it, we talked a lot. We talked a great deal about being open, and both of us saw the need for me and for her as a mom to be open because we wanted to make a point out there to people, letting them know it's fine of who they are and you know you can openly be who you are. So I made a point to, because we had an oral presentation in school, so we all had to choose a topic and talk about an issue. So I decided to talk about sexuality and gender. So I came up with this proposition saying that why is it that diverse ethnicity, diverse culture, all of this is acceptable? Why is it sexuality and gender, this diversity is not acceptable? And so I've said this many times, we have a law in school. We have a law in school, in all Malaysian high schools, that if you're found to be gay or lesbian or kecularan gender, that means if you're found to be kecaluran gender, you would be expelled or suspended or whipped 3 times on your butt.
Really?
Yes, that is an existing law in all secondary Malaysian schools today. And I did getting my teachers mocking me, using words, and I realized that was also one reason why at the end of my Form 5 I was expelled from school. And
You were expelled?
I was expelled, no I was not expelled, sorry, I was suspended for 3 days.
Suspended. What about Michelle?
Actually, it was my own cousin, sepupu I sendiri, and masa tu my uncle ada kedai makan, so kita selalu bagi makanan kat situ kan. Masa beli makanan tu, my cousin ni pun kata lah, kau ni macam pondan kan, cuba macam lelaki sikit, jalan tu melenggang apa semua.
Berapa umur tu?
Masa tu, can't really remember, tapi that was during high school. And masa ada kat university, ni masa kelas tahfiz Al-Quran. My own lecturer minta I tolong ke kelas sebelah to inform something lah to the other lecturer kan. So lecturer ni boleh kata,
Brother, why is your voice like this? You're a man. You have to be rough.
dan I pun macam, yeah. There is one particular batch of seniors yang kepala otak lain macam sikit. One of them actually ambil batu baling tau.
Baling batu pada you?
Yes.
Tapi tidak ada daripada jiran-jiran, keluarga.
Pada saya kalau jiran nak cakap, aku ada kisah.
Okay, our Dr. D, do you get any, things from outsiders, from families?
No.
Can I just comment on that?
Yeah. A quick one, Elaine.
A quick one. So in my family, I am the lesbian daughter and I have a gay uncle. And I think we just don't talk about it. it just doesn't come up. And as far as I know, my grandfather died without knowing his son was gay. And so I think it's quite typical. You know, but you just don't talk about it. I mean, I never asked you whether or not any of my aunties or anyone has ever questioned me about my sexuality. They know, don't talk about it.
It came to a stage when I think when my son was about 15 years old, and he used to have a big breast and all that, because he was chubby and... You know what my ex-husband told me? He said that a very bad statement. He said, you start using bra for my son. That's what he told me. And it was very lousy because I got it from his father, a person who I had to share my life to make it. So it was very terrible, very, very terrible. And I just didn't want to say anything, but anyway, I'm no more with him. I'm glad I'm no more with him because it would have been very difficult for me to go through a life like this with my son, with him, because he would have not understood anything. But I feel, for me, it's very important that, it's definitely very important that as a mother, I should understand my son's feelings for what he's going through, and I should always love him for who is he and for not what is he. Okay, so I think I'd like to give a small message out there for the parents. Don't stop loving your children for what they are. Because it's actually, they did not choose it. When they came into this world, they did not ask for it. It so happened they have to be something different, someone different from anybody else. And please continue loving them and support them until the very last moment you can. Yeah. And do not deny them.
Yes. Well, my wife really, yeah, of course she loves my daughter and things like that, but it's really not easy for her to accept her as a lesbian. I hope that my wife, at a later stage, or she can accept. I think she's not happy with it to a certain extent. But then her background, she's religious and things like that. But okay, I call her sometimes as far as my daughter is concerned. Sometimes I'll go back and I'll tell my wife, that idiot, every time she tells me come at 8 o'clock and she'll come out only at 9 o'clock. But my wife will defend her, so I call her defender of the universe. She makes the case. So anyway, so far nobody has really approached me or talked about it to me. So I honestly, I don't know what my reaction will be. Like he says, the people are scared to talk to me.
That's highly probable, actually.
Let's bring out our next two guests.
Yes, so we have two more guests.
We have two more guests. It's Derek and Visla. Derek is an educator, and Visla is a psychologist.
Derek he teaches at
a private university.
Yes.
He's been teaching for 10 years.
10 years.
10 years.
And Visla is a qualified psychologist, so do you want to...
Let's start with the education part, because I was pretty concerned when I heard this seminars going around and giving away free t-shirts with the words anti-LGBT. I thought this crazy. Yeah. So I just want to know from Derek, in universities level, in colleges, what are the lesbian, gay, transgender, bisexual community, for students? So how are they accepted in school, or are they not accepted? Or is there, like what you say, is it true? Three strokes of the cane in your university as well?
Okay, first off, let me just say that any education that promotes hate and discrimination is not education at all. And any teacher or lecturer who subscribes to these ideas should not be a teacher or lecturer in the first place. They don't have the right to be a lecturer or these things. When you come to university level, it is a time when students are encouraged to find themselves and to be confident of themselves. individuality is always accepted at the university level. I try to encourage my students to speak up. I try to encourage my students to be who they are, and also because I want their views. I want to know from where they are. I want to know what they think. I want to know what they say, what they have to say. So if you're telling me that being an educator, being a lecturer, you're asking me to weed out people who are different, which means you're telling me not to do my job. Or you're telling me to do my job in a different way that I don't believe in. So having all these seminars, having all these education about telling people how to identify who's gay, who's lesbian, and who's not, it's totally absurd. I don't subscribe to the idea. In the higher levels of education, whether you are gay, whether you're lesbian, whether you are transgender, whether you're bi, that's not the big issue. The big issue is whether or not you are a person. That is the biggest issue. And as a person, you should be developing your own character. And as a person who's developing your own character, you are supposed to be learning, and you're supposed to be getting your own education in your own way. Having bullying in school, especially, let's not even talk about university. At least university, you have already formed your frame of mind. You already know that, okay, I'm confident. I know what I am, and I don't care what people say. Now imagine if you were an 8-year-old, a 7-year-old in primary school, and you start to walk in a feminine way, and then somebody tells you that, oh, you are gay, you're a lesbian, and you are abnormal. Can you imagine the detrimental effects on that child? You know, can you just imagine? I cannot imagine. I'm asking you whether you can imagine, because I cannot imagine. And to think that that sort of thing happens in Malaysia, in our own backyard, I'm sorry, but that child is scarred for life all the way up to university.
What do you think is the impact on these kinds of anti-lesbian, gay, and you know, just because they are different from you, and then they get all this hate stuff going on their Facebook pages, at their school. There's even a proper effort, you know, to promote this LGBT culture in their own schools. Imagine this. What do you think is the impact on society, on us all as Malaysians?
I think on Malaysians generally, we are becoming more accepting of hate and violence, and I think that is really quite scary. But on the individual level, I think, not all of us, I think many of us are, and I think even with just one is quite scary already. But on the individual level, to have hate messages thrown at you, to want you to deny who you are, to want you to be afraid to express who you are, I think that definitely was going to cause fear, anxiety, and all that. But at a deeper level, I think might even cause self-hatred. It may cause other people to be afraid to come out themselves, to want to sort of conform to what everybody else believes in, or what everybody else wants you to be. And that ultimately affects the very core of your being, who you are as a person. And that isn't very healthy also.
Can I add on to that? Thank you, you just made it. Fear of the unknown is what makes people hate. Yeah? And that is why, as an educator, you are supposed to alleviate that fear, to make things known and to make them understood.
I think there might be some truth in that, because you become anxious because you don't have information. You become afraid because you don't know what is on the other side. So when that is there, you try and fill in the blanks to sort of reduce your own fear, but a lot of the stuff that you're relying on is half-truths. So, then you start propagating what you believe is true because you want to reduce your fear and your anxiety.